Well, hello there everyone, and a very warm welcome to the YouTube video here on the channel. My name is Emily Jane. No, I do not want to give up control of the train. Today we are here on Sandpatch Grade in Train Sim World 2. In front of us is an SD70, CSX 4848, 4848. Today we're operating train CSX X791, which is a helper run from here at Sandpatch down to the yard at Cumbernauld. Total distance of some 36.08 miles. Interestingly, the yard straight line distance is about 15 miles away, and it remains so for a large part of today's video. Alrighty, so up in the cab, there's a little bit for us to do to prepare. So I'm going to put my reverser in and leave it there. I'm going to cut in my things there. Now, for some reason, I have to get up, sit back down, and then I can zoom. No, still can't zoom, apparently. Who cares? Right, so you can't read this, but that's a train sim issue, I guess. So I'm going to knock the brightness up on these to 20% aside. You know what I'm going to do? Operator controls, air brake to lead, air brake to cut in. Lead and cut in, there we go. So what I'm going to do now is turn, well actually we don't need banking comms, so the last thing to do now is to turn my headlights to on, set my reverser to forward, release the brake, and give 2 blasts on the horn. And take power. And wonder why. Okay, the brakes are still releasing. They're taking longer than they did in my test. I'd love to know. Oh, interesting. So I can zoom now. I'm going to turn off my little footlights and stuff because I don't need them. But this shows how big the SD70 is, even compared to the SD40 behind us there. So that is our brakes now released. Let's try again. There we go. So our start speed limit today is 20 miles an hour. Technically speaking, we're actually in a 45 limit. However, in about 500 yards, there's the 20 limit with a crossover. So I'm going to go up to 20 and then idle. I'm going to zoom in a little because, well, to the fullest extent, I guess. That is a lot. Yeah. So, for crying out loud, okay. We'll just drive like this. It's fine. So, I say we're leaving Sandpatch at the moment. This is the highest point of the route. It's all downhill from here. We'll drop some 3,000 feet in the next 36 miles. Some of the downgrades are as steep as 1 in 56, which is very steep for trains. Not the steepest in the world, but that's why it's steep enough, shall we say. So that's why these 2 locomotives are up here. They came up this morning on the back of a freight train. They've then been dropped off up here, and we're now in charge of taking them back to the home station down at back down to work the next train, basically. So what I'll do is a quick cab tour. So obviously you can see this has got UP branding inside. That's because this is the Sherman Hill loco. This is a reskin that's available from the Train Sim community website. If you're looking for a way just to enhance the way your Train Sim world feels, I strongly recommend that website. I'll point out the mods I've got from that website as I'm driving today, but there's not any mods applied to the SD40 behind us, but all the other SD40s, you'll see the SD42s, got even things like Motorola stickers on the side, and you know, just it adds stuff like that. Just adds little bits of detail, and it's something I appreciate, I guess. So I'm going to put a bit of power on now, and we're going to go to the 45 limit. And now, obviously, the Actually, I'm probably accelerating a bit quicker than I thought. Although, no, it's straightened out, so I'm going to go up to 45 now. So I'm going to just axe the power going into the tunnel. Sorry, when I hit past 40, sorry, not going into the tunnel. You can see the exit of the tunnel there, we need to be at. Now the speedometer isn't 100% accurate even compared to what the game says, which is always quite interesting. But what I'm going to do is just turn my cab light on. I'm going to turn my one up, which is... switches around here somewhere for it. So what I'm going to do is that's off, so I'm going to put about 20% brake on. And then just use a little bit of automatic brake to bring us down to 40 as we are approaching the exit of the tunnel. So I don't need the main cab light on, but I just need the downlight on my desk, just so you can actually see what's happening. So I'm now at 40, so I'm just going to take power out, sorry, my automatic brake out, and just leave a little bit of a jab of brake on. Well, actually 35 is the next speed, so what I can do is just take the brake off now and coast for a little bit, and then what I'm keeping an eye on is the XL gauge. You'll see that'll increase very shortly. Now the 35 is just on the curve, there it is there. So what I'm in fact going to do is just use a stab of brake here, or I've not actually tested it with the dynamic, but I know really all we need is about notch 1 or 2, just enough to, you know, sustain the train at this speed. Nope, I need to use my real brake here. What I'm actually going to do is just do this. There we go. Just want to see if it'll actually... Yeah, it will. I just want to see it. Fair enough. But yeah, like I say, these two locos, I absolutely love the SD70. There's just something about this design of American loco I really enjoy. I don't really like driving the SD40s. I'm not sure why. I can't tell you why. But it's just not my thing. I'll turn my dynamic off. See what that does to my spood indication. Just going to let the speed. I'm going to increase. What I'll do is take just a hair of brake off. Use a little bit of power to build us back up. I know this will be horrendously bad driving practice, what I'm doing, but no. Yeah, like I say, the steepest grade we go down here is 1 in 58, which, for a roadway, it's a noticeable descent. For a train, it's actually really steep. You just have to ride the brake all the way down, basically. But you know, what gives trains their advantage economically is the lack of rolling resistance, right? Well, let's do that. Whereas, obviously with a car, you've got the tyres, so you've got a lot more grip, and it's a lot easier. Basically, it's a lot easier to slow down in a car than it is a train. And I mean, this consists weight about 350 tons, I think. 351 tons. So, you know, even when you look at sort of respectably sized family cars, you look at 150 respectably sized family cars in a trail here trying to slow down. tried to figure out the correct horn codes to use, but I'm still learning that part a lot. Now you will see I've left the markings down for me because there's, you know, when you drive passenger trains, there's obvious stop points on the platform. However, here, what in reality wouldn't require a particularly precise stop, and it's just a switchback point, in TS requires you to stop within 2 meters, and that's very difficult to know where that is, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I've left it turned on for now. Interestingly, we will actually change ends in Cumbernauld. Is it Cumbernauld? Cumberland Yard. Cumbernauld near Glasgow. Dow. You know, we will change ends in Cumberland Yard, and actually drive the SD40 as well, which will be my first time driving the New Journeys SD40 or whatever the heck it's called. That expansion. But the just the one thing I wish they brought a sound patch grade, and this run sort of brings it out for me, is just put a stab extra brake in. Looking at that accelerometer, we've gone over to 4.4. I wanted to start reading a negative number. There we go. Negative 2.5 is actually a really good place to be. That's barely noticeable deceleration basically, and in about 2 minutes I can put a bit of brake off, so it goes back up and then back down, and just, you know, keep driving like that. But there is an Amtrak train that goes over this route. I'm not sure which one. I wonder. Trains sand patch. Actually, I'm checking to see what Amtrak services run over it. Yeah, Mance is a really good spot. There you go. Chicago to Washington train, the Capitol Limited. Capitol Limited is a daily Amtrak train from Washington to Chicago, running 764 miles via Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Service began in 1981, yeah. So you can see we've now slowed down a chunk. So what I'm going to do is just take my brake back out. So what I'll do is we'll get back up towards 35, and then I will, once we've got the speed under control, I'll do a quick cab turn. So, keep an eye on that, but anyway, main instruments to look at here: brake pipe pressure and equalizer reservoir. This basically gives you an idea of what your train brake is doing. I'm using the loco brake because we're driving a factory light engine. Speedometer tells you how quick you're going. Accelerometer is that's really handy because it gives you an idea of how fast your speed is changing. So 2.7 is barely noticeable if I just sat here and watch the speedometer. But obviously it means I know exactly what I can focus more on what's going on around me rather than just hawk-eyeing the speed. Train length, what position the reverse is in, what the throttle's doing, tractive effort. So consist effort, that's across all engines in the consist. Tractive effort, that's obviously just what this unit's doing. Safety systems, they're not cut in because I don't believe they're actually implemented on this route. There's a 50. So what I'm going to do is release my thing and accelerate to 50 miles an hour. I absolutely love the noise these locos make. What I really like as well is you can actually sort of get up to the higher speeds on this route. So I put a little bit of brake back on, just monitor the accelerometer. Okay, I'm not happy. So you can see we're now just at that level of brake. So in the real thing, that's actually a really good position to be. I'd be able to see my exact loco brake pressures. Unfortunately, the way Dovetail have made the loco, you can't. I keep having to knock the bell off. That's one of the things I hate about American locos, the bell. It is so annoying. Open that window up for now. Get some fresh air circulating. Let's see, is it? So when I did my notes for this, I must have had the month set earlier. Hang on, what's the date according to this? February. Interesting. Because so in March you end up with some snow on the high mountains, and it's just really nice to actually see that. So I let the brake off again, just let myself accelerate a bit more. But yeah, I've got the two safety systems codecs. I don't believe they actually are implemented on this route, therefore there'd be problems. This screen's basically useless. You can turn the brightness, you can, do what you want with the brightness, but you can't actually get anything up on this in real terms. Yeah, it's just there for the aesthetics. Shrink a brake. I'm going to get my dynamic into setup. I'll just leave it there for now. Oh yeah, there you go. You can see the snow's just loaded in. It's just quite nice. So it sort of gives the feeling of it's early spring. Anyway, moving around, the engine run gen field and fuel pump. This is what gives you control and makes the engine generate power. You've got your number lights, which because I'm using a reskin, the number boards don't really work, but it's those numbers there. That's where your numbers would be. The lights set stuff. Heater, what I can do is I'll probably put it on low cool because I'm such a hot driver. Yeah, reverser, no idea. Sander, throttle, dynamic, bell. So when I was actually driving at first, I was actually trying to knock the bell on when I was trying to do the horn. But you see, you basically put it up to turn the bell on, and it spring loads back to center, and then you knock it off to get the bell off. There was a 35 on this curve. You know that window's staying closed. I prefer it closed. So I'm gonna try and use rheostatic for it. Actually negative. I'm being way too early. I've still got that brake on, so that's fine. I'll just leave that part the way it is. The 35 is actually on a right-hand curve that we come up to. Yeah, horn. Which is nice, sort of, I guess, stereotypical to me, train horn. Train brake, loco brake, and that's it for the cab. It's a pretty basic setup in here, for, in terms of what you need. Your windscreen wiper controls are up here in case you knock them on by accident, like I did. Well, it's not basic, but it's just you get what you need, basically, is I guess what I'm trying to say here. What I can do is just pull a bit of brake back. You can see the 35 on the curve there. Monitor that. If that stays within sort of less than 5 either way, basically. You also got your radio here. One of the things I've learned with Sound Patch is you have to turn bank and comm on in each cab, which it's, yeah, there you go. It's on this. It's the push to talk, and that basically connects the loco to the radio controls on board. It doesn't need any specific setup. You just turn bank and comm on. I wish there was a bit more to it, but I sort of see both sides really. The one area it's a bit of a pain in the behind is I operated a train going the other way, the one that actually dropped these helpers off a couple of days ago, and I actually had to basically free cam to the back and turn the bank and comm on, like using the external camera, which is a phenomenal pain in the backside. Just to make sure that you know, I had the like the other trains under my control. Where's mine? Yeah, my dad makes that off. That's a bit strange because you can see how quickly we're losing speed. Just freeze the brakes, why not? Oh, so I can see the brake cylinder pressure is what I need to monitor when it comes to the thingy brake. That's fair enough, that's noted. So, one thing I will talk about, I'm going to talk about it now and then I'm not going to mention it anymore. Today is the 25th of Feb, and Russia invaded Ukraine this morning. Yeah. I don't really know what to say in this situation, I guess, and that's pretty uncommon for me. You know, normally I'm pretty sort of, I guess, out. I don't want to say out there, but you know what I mean. I'm normally pretty comfortable in terms of what I need to say in certain situations, but now I guess I'm not. Out of interest, I'm going to turn the audio up for the train just because it seems a bit quiet on the track there, but it's just so sad. You know, if war was, well, no, there's no way war can be normal, I guess. Yeah. Like I say, it just makes me really sad that, you know, all of these people who, you know, didn't sign up for this are now, you know, in a very bad spot, shall we say. So we need to be at 30 for the crossover, so I need to put a bit of brake on, get us down to 30, and then a bit of power back off. I'll brake off. So braked. So I'm aiming for about sort of 2 to 5 on the brake cylinder. Well, yeah, about 5 on the brake cylinder pressure scale. Which hopefully YouTube allows you to see, but you never know. One thing I wish the game would simulate is the drag that this curve causes. So the wheel flange will, in effect, will cause an element of drag, and on a curve this tight, especially on a longer train, I guess, it will be noticeable, and it doesn't affect the speed at all, even if it was just by a couple of points, either way. I feel like that would be quite a cool thing to see. Right, so there should be 35 limit coming up. That's what I'm looking out for now. But, like I say, just, you know, I've been following the news quite closely, and it's just really sad, you know, that this is happening. Anyway, so I'm going to pause the conversation a bit there, as much as it's a really important point. You know, I don't think this is the place for it. You know, this channel's about trains, and I intend to keep it that way. You know, I'm probably going to avoid anything sort of east of Germany for a while, and I know, you know, Germany's a long way from from Ukraine, but I also want to stay a long way from any controversy. And yeah. It's been snowing in Scotland, which I guess is nice. So I'm going to put a BP of 11 on. Just leave it there for now. Just going to check the news, see if there's any major updates. Yeah, residents leave Kiev. I mean, yeah, you know, I'm going to mention my last little bit on it. At the moment, there's been no word from the UK government as to, apart from we stand with our Russian friends against oppression, all that kind of jazz. Just going to quickly, yeah, I'm fine. But you know, if this turns military, then this is World War III, and yeah. Boris Johnson spoke to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in the early hours of this morning. The Prime Minister said he was appalled by the unfolding events in Ukraine. The Ukrainian President updated the Prime Minister on the attacks taking place. The Prime Minister said the West would not stand by as President Putin waged his campaign against the Russian people. The Prime Minister said he hoped Ukraine could resist and that Ukraine's people were in his thoughts of everyone in the UK during this dark time. He said everything short of actually doing something, but you know. There we go, we'll leave it in that position for now. Let that speed build back up. But anyway, like I say, normal programming shall now resume. I've got to say, the SD70, in this reskin, this is probably the best one I've seen for it. I know the front looks weird, but the CSX front on these looks weird. But overall, I really like that livery. That's our 35, I believe. So what I'll do is I'll just leave the brake off to let the train accelerate up to 35. Yep, that was our 35 post. I didn't do horns for that crossing, which... oh well. Again, I like the way the horn sounds on this as well. That's a proper sounding train horn. The speed limit does drop back down to 35, to 30 again shortly. After that it goes up to 60, then back down to 55, then up to a 79 mile an hour speed limit. 79 miles an hour, of course, is the weirdest speed limit in North America, but it makes sense. Basically, the US government turned around and said, you can't go over 80, you can't go at 80 miles an hour or more without in-cab signalling. So on routes that there's no in-cab signalling, the speed limit is 79 miles an hour. So I'll just put 9 in. 12. 14, there we go. 2 miles an hour of deceleration, which is absolutely fine. That's one of the things I guess I dislike about American railroading is, you know, I was sort of thinking about this route. Parts of it I really love, because this is probably the route if I've got, you know, if I'm trying to make myself tired and fall asleep, this is the route I'll go and play. But if I'm, you know, doing sort of normal train simming, then I tend to do one of the, like the British routes, just because, well, British is more my thing, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how I feel about this route in my head, and I can't. Technically, you know what I don't like is if you look at that green, it looks fake. You know, the artwork on this route's not as good as it is on some. Is what I'd say to it. You know, but I don't know. It's just, I think driving through a canyon as well is quite nice. I think I need to. I've got Sherman Hill still driving full, but once I do that, I'll have driven every Train Sim World route end to end. And I'm deciding whether I want to do what do you call it, West Somerset, and the answer is probably not. I'm just struggling for the, you know, struggling to want to do it basically. I was trying some juiced Monster, like it's an orange one. Red Pear is what it's called. And it's just a bit too sour, I think. I've got some mango loco left, which is my favourite one. If you're wondering what to buy me for Christmas. So that house down there, this is an example of the artwork on this route. That's some pretty aggressive subsidence right there, boys. That's actually a really nice image. And this is one of the things I do love about this route, though, is like these nice wide open shots you get. I call that the little house on the prairie. It's what is just in my head. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's just this random house by the train line. One of my favourite things I've actually done on like in American trains is there's a little Trent Hopkins, musical aviator, did it as well. It's me, I think it was pretty sure you gave him the idea. But you can basically do a shift, and it works out 6 hours long. But you get into your train in the yard, couple up to some coal gondolas, go up to is it Rockwell Mine? I think it's Rockwell Mine. It's one of the mines at the other end of the route. Load it up and bring it back. And the whole thing takes about 6 hours to do. That's quite good fun. But you'll see as soon as we pick the speed up again, you know, because we've got an SD40 on the back, we are speed limited to 65 miles an hour. Even though the SD70 can do 70 correction, but the like I say, the SD40 on the back can only do 65. Actually, that's a really good question. Because the last time I drove it, I had an SD42. That's just an SD40. 35 limit. So I guess I'll just set the brake back off for a bit more. Oh no, their maximum speed's 83, so yeah, I can do 70 no problem. I will probably do a video talking about my predictions. Nah, I don't need to. Yeah, my channels are, I want to make my channels an escape from the world. I don't want to talk about my predictions about how the world's going to end, pretty much. the end of the world as we know it. Lol. Yes, so the SD40 that's on the back, the last ones were built in August 1972. That shows, doesn't it? A lot of the SD40, like a lot of them have just been inherited through operators to operators to operators. I'm trying to take the brake out for now. I'll take the train accelerator. Okay, maybe I'll leave like a 5 on. So yeah, the gradients evened out a little. And we go 11. Seems to be a good spot. 11s. And then when it hits 35, I'll just notch it up a little further. Darkest hours for Europe since World War II. Yep. Like I say, I'd say I can't believe it, but I can. And you know, that's what I guess makes it so deeply shit. But yeah. Sorry. As you can tell, because I'm at home by myself, and I've not got any. Basically, after this, I've got to go make some phone calls, and that's it. It's just a bit of a weird day, and I'm in a downward spiral in myself. You see, I look at this guy sitting next to me right now. I don't think. There you go, 60. So break off. And I've got notch 5. Interesting. It's revving as well, so we must actually be tight together, like power-wise, which is good. So yeah. Like I say, these things, I wish we had an American freight route where you could get up to speed and stay there. They fixed the hole in the map that was over there. So Dovetail goes to quite a large level to stop you being able to escape the world. And yeah, they failed that one time. Oh dear. Oh no! Brake, brake, brake. I do love those two cabooses over there, the old chassis system. They're chassis. I think they're chassis, aren't they? Yep, chassis system. Makes me wonder, like, were these designed to work together, or were they just two cabooses dumped there, basically? I wonder as well if one of those cabooses isn't one of the assets that was used on the old thingy route. What's it called? The American one with the X7. I've driven that one in full. I don't want to record it. I don't think it's a nice enough route to record, if I'm honest. Well, no, that's not. Sorry, I don't think I'm being fair to it there, but you know what I mean. There's 79 over the top, so power on. I don't think, like, you know, these locos, like, anyone ever play tested them at 70. But it's interesting how, like, the ride quality worsens on them. got to say as well, the old sort of blue stripe CSX livery I quite like. You can see that the valleys started to open up now, and yeah, to give you an idea of the route as well, we might as well. We started roughly over here. We've driven around this hilly bit, and we're now going down this bit. So, this is a fast bit. The speed limit then drops, then picks back up, then it drops down for the snake into Cumberland. And we dispose of the train roughly there. So that's where we've got left to go to. And I'll put about a 12 on. No. Okay. 7. No, it's a bit much. Let's put the slightest brake application on 1 bar of brake pressure, means we're accelerating, 2 bar of brake cylinder pressure, and I've just been COVID pinged again. Or is this the you don't have to self-isolate anymore ping? That would be funny. COVID restrictions have been removed in England. Oh fuck. This is how I die. Question is, what's going to kill me first? COVID or a nuclear bomb? If you're interested in open source intelligence and sort of, you know, looking at the, for lack of a better term, what do they know side of things? You know, like what's actually going on in the world? What do they have? Then I can recommend Aaron Amick has a channel called Subbrief on YouTube, and a lot of the stuff he covers in naval news is really interesting. Like, it was him who I just found out about the Russian Poseidon torpedo from. I should give its Russian name rather than CIA name. There we go, 55, 55. Oh, come on. There we go, bell off. I'm not sure which of those are foot crossings and which of them are road crossings, but I know road crossing you do your short, long. And the long is supposed to be as you go over the crossing. What's that? You know what? That angle there, that livery, I really like. It's wonderful what the community's managed to make with such rudimentary editing tools. You know, compared to TS Classic, the editing tools available are weak. Let's say, yeah. So there's a 79 post. It's, I believe, there it is, actually there. Power on. So there's a 60 post and then not too far ahead. So I'm just going to keep my eyes out for it. So we can give the train a chance to accelerate a bit. Have one last bit of thrash. And then I'm just going to take the power off and just coast for a while. I believe it's, yeah, that'll be the demont there. Hump hump. Yeah, so the, like I said, the 79 is because there's no in-cab signalling here. Well, there is, but it's not the right kind. So I'm going to do my horn signals. I wonder if that, yeah, if I'm misreading some signage, but probably I am. So we're just going to coast for now. Put a slight amount of brake on, just to get our speed back to maybe 58, 59. Yeah, see, if I felt us bounce onto that downslope, it is sort of nice, I guess, almost, the extent you feel the movement on this train. I feel like I'm on a train that's moving at the moment. And I don't feel like the internal sounds are that great. Like, you don't hear much of anything. Even with the window open, I feel like I barely hear anything. So just to show you again on the map, this will be our 35. So I'm just going to blow a full set of thingy on. Yeah, okay, I'm going to take some automatic actually. So I'm not entirely sure where the 35 is around here. But I'm just going to slow down towards it. So I'm going to bail off on the brake. And zap. Not bad. It would be nice to see, probably as a, you know, I'm gonna speak to Muff, who's one of the community leaders to an extent in terms of modding. He's a really pretty competent Czech dev, and get myself set up with the unofficial editing tools, because there's some cool scenarios that could be made that can't be made with the whatever it's called, the current version of the scenario editor, basically. For lack of a better term. There you go. So our 35 is there. So 35 is now our line speed. All the way into Cumberland. We then drop down further. And then we just cruise back down here, basically. I'm just going to let the brake off and go. Actually, there's no one visible on the crossing. I'm just going to run the bell for this one. Couldn't help myself. Yeah, that's the in-cab signalling. But again, we're not really working that at the moment. It's a nice drive into Cumberland Yard. I wish, like I say, I think some sort of Amtrak movement on this route would be kind of nice. What are we doing like for time? Pretty good, pretty good. Been going about an hour. Got about 10 or so minutes left. You know, like I say, when they bring something like a P42 to the game, it'll be great fun on this route. Because, you know, although there's no timetable stops as far as I'm aware, it'll just be a really fun drive. Well, to be honest, we've got the F40, we've got the F40 in an Amtrak reskin. It just needs someone, again, clever, you know, actually something, I could probably make that work, actually. Let's see what the composition of the Amtrak Capitol, the thing, yeah. Capitol Limited. What's it composed of? I mean, 764 miles is, it's either an overnight or a day through cars. Yeah, operates on the Keystone. So, yeah. It does actually have the cars in it that we have, I think. The unrefurbished versions of them, at least. Yeah, and it does stop in Cumberland, so, you know, it's not an impossible train to model. And even from a passenger perspective, I'd love to... One of the things, it's sort of one of my guilty pleasures almost within Train Sim World, is to be a passenger. And get on a train and travel the route and look out the window. It's very relaxing. Especially during sort of self-isolation periods I've done. I have, you know, sat with that and just thingied it, but yeah. $35. Yeah, that speed's increasing a bit much. Again, even if it indicates 36, I'm not counting that as speeding, because 1 or 2 miles an hour either way is within the error capacity of the speedometer. Yeah, we're coming down the curves now into Thingy Station. So what actually happens is this is the entrance into town here. You then go around a really big arc at incredibly slow speeds, and then that's about 10 minutes just cruising at slow speed. And it's really interesting what these two are. I think what they should be, at least. I think I'm going to tidy up today. That's what I'm going to do. Oh dear, I'm putting way too much brake on that. I wonder what MDT stands for. That's interesting. Yeah, because that'd be mountain time. But obviously we're on the East Coast, so it'd be EST. That would be under. I now understand where Cumberland is. It's sort of in that weird bit of the US no one thinks about, west of sort of Washington. We're pretty much due west of sort of like Baltimore and the top bit of Delaware. It's the part of the US no one, at least from outside the US I should say, thinks about. It's still pretty... Yeah, so I'm doing too badly on the points. Probably doing better than I did on my first attempt at this, not gonna lie. I don't know why I keep putting the hood by accident. I almost feel anxious about going fast. Well, 35. Keeping an eye out. I can see the truck there. No, can't see any people, so I'm not sounding my horn. See, we're approaching the roadway. Yeah, so some of the scenarios I do want to have a go at. I want to try and do something with auto racks. Either UP or CSX, you know, like a longer distance, shall we say. Train on, a longer distance train on Oakville. So, yeah, you know, Oakville's one of the routes I worked on when I was at Dovetail. That's why I'm like, yeah. But, like I say, so in theory our line speed drops to 25 in this area. I believe it's the next signal. which I will leave the bell running in this area. Yeah, that is a 25 diamond there. Okay, I went a bit too keen there. Lol. So the line speed actually drops to a 15 there. So I'm just gonna stay here really. Now on the speed, literally just go notch one a pound. No, not between that and notch one, so I want to stand. Cumberland Hump Terminal. This, honestly, it's just... This is what I imagine American railroading to be like. Slightly weird, slightly ugly trains. At the end of the day, the SD70 is not winning any prizes for aesthetics. But, yeah, I like it. One breaks under pressure of 0, so... I also really wish the speed limit was slightly higher through this area. So one of the things I know that no one seems to have noticed yet is that in yards and stuff, the lowest speed limit dovetail will set over sort of large areas, like this as an example, is 15. They'll look like, for example, on Oakville, the whole industrial area in Oakville, correction, Hamilton, the Hamilton industrial area, that's all a 5 mile an hour speed limit. But the like you can do it at 15 basically in game. So yeah. So I'm just going to check that our route has been set for us. Yes, it has. Alrighty. Like I say, we go down, we actually stop there, that's the location we're supposed to stop at, and then we back up and we go into this area of the yard here. This is the car shops, this is, yeah, I can't remember the actual like names of all the places on here. It's a shame you can't hover over them and get them, but it is what it is. I've generally got nothing else to talk about. 5, there we go. You see, that's quite an interesting thought, that. So, obviously you can see the difference in speed is 3.7 miles per hour per minute reduction. But, comparatively, at slow speed, that's more than it is at high speed. Don't know why it's interesting, but it's just the I've thought of now. I'm just going to lift a bit more brake off. Because if you think, at 60 miles an hour, a minute is a mile a minute. Whereas at 20, it's a mile every 3 minutes. So, comparatively, speed change over distance versus speed change over time, that's much greater. wish there's a fast forward feature in TSW. TSW. Just put a tiny amount of power in. Since we're in a fenced up area, we're obviously not in the yard yet, I'm going to turn that bell off for now. BC is the lowest amount of brake I can put in. That still leads to a negative 6.3 reduction. Let's try coast. See what that looks like. Ooh. That's probably the best place to be. Well, actually, if I just idle. See, our cooling fans are whirling round. The SD40's on idle. I'm pretty sure the SD40 has been powering us. It looked like it was, just based off the effects, but yeah, you can see as well. This is something just to be aware of with TSW. Is you see that the distance to go marker is at 0.9. When I was driving this earlier, that just doesn't change for a fair whack of the journey. So just be aware of that, I guess, because basically it doesn't calculate your distance over track, it calculates your distance straight line. So like, even when you spawn in, that indicates it's 15 miles, even though you've got 36 to drive. Just something to be aware of. So that's the roundhouse on the right hand side. Again, whilst we're coasting, just have a little look around. So you got some SD40s on a manifest. No, it's a coal train. This is one of my favourite features of TSW, is substitution. So up front you've got two SD40s, which is pretty bog standard, but then one model with two different reskins. Query 3? Yeah, right, it's just different reskins that are popped in randomly. And if we reloaded this scenario in the future, it would have different reskins on it again. And it just, what I like is it feels more like reality, where, you know, again, looking at these auto racks, you know, the Kansas City Southern Lines, you know, with some Conrail livery, CSX livery, and it would be a bit of a mix-up in terms of what you saw on the day, you know. every day's a little bit different, and that's what I like that. This is the servicing sheds here, and then over here is the roundhouse. This is the AC4400, 4400, which is probably my second favourite loco, and I do want to try and drive this at some stage. There's our go via point. We're getting there. Again, that's another manifest. This is an actual manifest. Pair of SD40s on the front with grains, tank cars, box cars, grain cars, tank cars. So box cars, grain, tank. Yeah, just a mixture, which again is quite nice to see. There's the MP15s, the shunters parked up. It would be nice to... Yeah, I wish there was a way that was easier to import these, because at the moment, with the way the editing tool works, you've got 50 slots for reskins, and what I'd love to be able to do is leave all these in permanently and not have to take them out. So I want to go and do a British video next, so I've got to go and exchange all my reskins with British reskins. Yeah. I don't know. That's the car shops down there, and then over on the left, like I say, that's the MP15s. So that's actually they're in a proper CSX livery, but they are. That's our go via point, and the stop at is. You can just about make it out behind that container. Yeah, you can see from here they are actually in a proper CSX livery, but it's there's a load of mods done to them compared to the Caltrain version, which is where it comes from. It's basically just a mod that does some magic and makes an extra MP15 and then changes it to look like the CSX MP15s. Honestly, like I say, some of the stuff the mod makers can do really pretty outstanding. You know, and it's very easy to add something to a model that's not already there, right? But removing something, that's pretty complicated, and they've managed to do that, and that's, you know, they get the from me for that. So yeah. Just a couple of more minutes left to roll. Put a jump brake on so we don't overspeed. You can see we've got the box cars, and again a BNSF gondola car there. Given all of the world events, my pension funds just sent me an email. Are you saving enough to retire? Oh dear. With some dash 8s over there as well. And then there's you see those are the MP15s. They're a bit broken at the moment. That CSX logo's not on them. I need to figure out what's broken there, but still pretty outstandingly cool. These are the dash 8s. I think they might be. No, they're 4400s. Yeah, interesting. But this is actually to show you this part of the enhancements. Stuff like this being stuck to the side, I think. Here comes another auto rack train. Give the drivers a wave. Wave back. Okay, don't. This is the bit where, you can see the points are set in our favour, so we don't go smashing into the side of his train. And as soon as we stop there, we've got to change ends. Which means this is the last 100 yards of us driving the SD70. You can see again, like just just the amount of different liveries in these, and that is, you know, that number of different liveries is prototypical, because basically my understanding is with this that the we'll just put it into thingy, why not, and then into handle off. But the basically all of these are owned by, I think it's Gatex or someone like that owns them. And there's literally, if you look at videos, there's things like CN livery auto racks in Florida and stuff, and they haven't, you know, driven down on a, they've been loaded in Canada on a CN territory and driven down. It's just they go where they're needed, basically. So the last thing to do is headlights off. Now the more options, no more options back on, operator controls. I'm going to cut my air brakes out and go to trail mode, and that is us basically set at this end. So what I now do is walk through and head to my SD40. So yeah, that's the handbrake on this. I'm going to hop down, walk along the ground. That train over there being particularly loud, so it's difficult for us to communicate. You can see this is the Clinchfield spec SD40. It's quite a little bit different, basically. Well, actually, I want to stand up, because the first thing you need to do is knock the brakes into leader dead mode. Brake off. I'm going to set my air brakes to passenger, since it's just two light locos working together. Where do you put the reverser in this thing? There we go. So we'll go reverser to forward. All these lights on, instrument lights on, headlights can go on, cab light can go off, reverse in forward. That goes to drive 1, that goes off, everything's off. Got a little bit of rollback going on. Power on, and away we go. So I'm going to just pretend we've dropped our conductor off, who has set the points for us, because everyone likes when the points are set in their favour. As you can see, this thing's pretty rapid. And one of the things we are going to do is when we pull in and we stop here, the scenario will end, and I'll show you. And what we'll do is we'll shut the train down. Even though in theory it goes back out in 3 minutes, we'll just say for law purposes that it's the end of the day, basically. The train's going to be parked up for an hour or so we shut it down, basically. So yeah, I think if it's more than about 15 minutes, you're supposed to shut the engine off. There's the MP15's beavering away over there. I think we'll probably be helping that up with the pass. The auto rack train. This thing's a lot of fun to drive. I love the horn on this one. That's a really nice sounding horn. There we go. Alright, we'll bring the train to a stand, and we are done. Uh-oh. Alrighty. Oh my word, the brake is sensitive on this thing. So what I do is handle off, cut the brake out, reverser goes to neutral, reversing handle comes out when I squat down and look at it. And then lead to thingy. What we'll do is we'll destroy the pipe by resealing the air brake. And no, the handbrake is not out on the front, it's on the rear. But anyway, that's the so what we can do is basically isolate the engine to start, stop, isolate, and knock the engine out. You can hear the SD70 is still running, which is good. And we'll shut this one down next. But anyway, that is going to be doing it for ooh, fell right overboard. That is going to be doing it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to see more from me on a semi-regular basis. I'm getting quite good now at getting a video every Monday at 4 PM. Yeah, let me know if you'd like to see any videos from me in the future. Silence is, as they say, golden. So I'm actually going to go and grab my lodge bag from the driver's cab. Because I think I've left the headlights on. I've just realised I've not completed this scenario, have I? Have I? No, I have. Oh, for fuck's sake, I haven't. That's fine. I can do that later. But yeah, so I'm going to grab the headlights. They are going to go to... Nope. We'll just leave those. Fluff it. And yeah, that's us done for today's video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye for now.